Sarasota County Bar Association is a proud partner in bringing you Law in Sarasota. With voluntary membership of over 900 lawyers and judges, the Sarasota County Bar Association is your community's leader in advancing legal professionalism, practice development, and public service. Visit www.sarasotabar.com for more information and to use the online directory list to find an attorney.
This program is brought to you by a grant from the Community Foundation of Sarasota County and underwritten by the Community Foundation of Sarasota. The Education Channel produces the program and broadcasts from its state-of-the-art campus on Beneva Road. They make this program possible for the Sarasota community. We're indebted to them for the commitments and contributions that make this program possible. I'm Senior Judge Lee Hayworth. Today, our panel will focus on an innovative program underway at Sarasota High School. It has as its goal keeping kids in school and, whenever possible, keeping their juvenile offenses out of the official juvenile delinquency database. We know that students who are suspended or expelled or who drop out early often have a high potential for having an unhappy future. The practice of suspensions and expulsions sometimes is referred to as the school-to-prison pipeline. This program we will discuss today is an effort to interrupt that pipeline, keep kids in school, and change delinquent behavior. This program, officially known as the Juvenile Court Intervention Team, sometimes we'll refer to it as the DJJ program, came into existence as a collaborative effort between a number of shareholders or stakeholders, the juvenile judge, currently Rochelle Curley, Sarasota High School administrators and behavior specialists, juvenile probation officers, the Sarasota Sheriff, the state attorney, and the public defender. There's also a USF professor of criminal justice who contributes. We have two participants on our panel who are very active in this program, so let's meet them. First, we have Mark Rupert. Now, Mark is a SHS behavioral specialist. He's an experienced educator and administrator. On a daily basis, he deals with students who have behavioral problems, and he tries to redirect students who are disruptive, who otherwise fail to conform to the district rules. So welcome, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
Next to him is Jarrett Ballo. Jarrett is employed as a Department of Juvenile Justice probation officer, and he also has the position of reform specialist. So welcome, Jarrett.
Thank you, sir.
Mark, we're going to start with you. We want to talk about how a student gets into the program, but let's give some context to this and explain what happens if we don't have programs like this one. This is what we call a diversionary program. It's one of several. Without the program, the process is a student commits an offense on campus. He or she can be taken by the school resource officer and arrested. The officer may create what we call a probable cause affidavit that goes to the state attorney. The state attorney reviews that, and if they decide to file a petition for delinquency, the child's brought to court, gets a lawyer, has to do an arraignment, admit or deny the petition, and have a trial if necessary. This is designed to divert children and students from that program. So, tell us, in the normal course, when you deal with the child in this program, how does it work?
Well, typically what you're referring to with students that commit crimes on campus that have been listed out with association with our district attorney. We're talking about misdemeanor crimes, drug offenses, battery, theft, trespass, things of that nature. Typically, if that would happen on our campus prior to this program being in effect, those students would be subject to disciplinary consequences that could go into expulsion on top of a criminal charge. This program that's in place, the student is still held responsible. The difference is we put services and some things in place under contract where they're held, where they're going to need to go through certain programs, whether it be drug counseling, whether it be a teen court program or coastal behavior or those kind of things where we put them in there. And if they successfully complete those programs, the charges, the criminal charges, as well as the school consequences are deferred. Typically, it's a 1-year period that they go through. If this program wasn't in place, they would be charged with a crime and possibly and probably would be dealing with some sort of expulsion or alternative to school.
When it goes into the juvenile justice system, that begins the tracking process that can lead to their future. Let me ask Jarrett. Jarrett, why should we be concerned when a student does something that commits an offense? The mythology is that they can do anything they want and it doesn't hurt them later. Is that correct?
No, their juvenile records are not sealed, despite what people believe. Also, if they go to juvenile court, it's not private. Anyone can walk into juvenile court and witness what's going on. So, future prospective employer might be there. Anyone can view what's going on. Also, it can hinder them later on in life. If they try to get a job, an employer can pay a fee to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to get their juvenile record, to look it up. So, also, if they ever try to get housing, it might come up that they have a criminal record. And then also, if they reoffend whenever they're adults, they get that goes into their sanctioning when they're older.
So there can be consequences also, like military.
Military, yes. As far as I know, the military can't get the records from us, but you can't be in the military unless you sign a waiver for them to look into it. So that's another thing. The good part about this program is not only do they not get arrested and have to go through all that, but they also are able to stay in school. And if they complete the program, the entire charge kind of goes away, as opposed to even having any type of like judicial diversion program. So this one's works out very well.
Okay, so the concept is that, we've all been young and dumb, right? And kids make stupid mistakes. What sort of charges, Jarrett, are allowed into this program?
The state attorney approved looks like 16. They're all misdemeanor charges. Like Mark said, they are drug and alcohol charges, trespassing, loitering and prowling, disruption of school function, disorderly conduct, affray, which is the 2 students fighting, criminal mischief, breaking windows or spray painting something, petty theft, grand theft on a case-by-case basis. That's mostly for cell phones, right, Mark?
Somebody takes a cell phone.
Yeah. So, and then non-injury battery cases. So if someone was to punch someone and not really hurt them, but if it was some substantial injury, it might not be appropriate for this.
So when do you get involved, Jarrett?
Typically, after a child is taken into custody, what'll happen is they'll go to the Juvenile Assessment Center. They'll have a couple assessments done there, mental health, substance abuse, and then a detention risk assessment to see if they need to be placed in secure detention. And then the Juvenile Assessment Center will send out the paperwork to the state attorney, the clerk of court, and to us. So, and then we try to get involved as soon as possible after that.
All right. Let's talk about this particular program. Mark, a student commits some offense on campus. Let's take a hypothetical case. What are the most common types?
For us, it's been drug alcohol cases.
Okay.
I would say probably 90%, 95% of our cases are just that.
So let's say you catch a kid with a couple of joints, marijuana on campus. Walk us through how that works with himself and his family.
What would happen is once it's brought to our attention and our community, our SRO, our police officer that's on campus, determines there's enough of cause for an arrest or a possible arrest. What we would do as a school is typically they would be immediately suspended from school. And then what we do with this program is we take a look at the student, because it is case by case. We try to look at the background, we communicate with the family, the parents to come in to have a meeting before the student leaves campus, and then we determine if it's a good fit, and it usually is, and we have to go through the assistant district attorney's office first. We do have to notify them if we are planning on doing this. So once we notify them and get the green light from the district attorney's office, then we'll able to offer this to the student. And what that, again, looks like is...
Before you do that, how much time between the offense and when you get to see them?
Typically, when we get to see the families and stuff,
Right.
we usually have a kind of an informal meeting that day. We don't know unless, it depends how quickly we were able to get back from the district attorney's office. They go as fast as they can. Some days are quicker than others. But it's usually less than 24 hours or 24-hour turnaround that we get approval. Once we get approval, we are we'd like to do it within a couple of days because, again, these students are under suspension. And we want to cut down our suspension rates. We don't want to have these students out 4, 5, 6, 7 days, whatever the case may be. We want to get them back on campus as quickly as possible and have them have access to their education. They screwed up and they're responsible, but we feel what we want to try to do is offer supports and services, not only for the student, but for the family as well. So we try to get them back on campus. I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 days, kids are out of school. With some services being provided, work being sent home.
And that's between, as example, without the program, it could be 10 days or more, right?
Well, usually, 10, no more than 10. You try to keep that number down. But if we did not have a program like this, yeah, you're talking 5, 6, it could go up to 10 days. And that's educationally speaking, not beneficial for anybody. So we've been able to cut down just on that alone because we know we're going to bring the student back and we're going to offer them this program. Now they do have the choice not to take the program. It's not something we force down on anybody. We map it out when we do have our more formal meeting. Our police presence is there. Our DJJ representatives are there. Administration is there. Parents, they can bring whomever they want. We'll never deter anybody, family from bringing whomever they want. Some come with attorneys to take a look at it. And when we kind of roll out the plan based on whatever the offense was, we put services into place. At Sarasota High School, we want to provide services for kids in crisis, for kids in need, whatever the issue may be. Again, they are going to be held responsible, and we want to make sure we are 100% clear on that. They made the mistake, they own it. What we're doing as a school is trying to provide services, trying to provide education. So by doing that, by having this program, we're able to do that. We're able to provide those things.
Okay, let's pretend a student has been charged with an offense and you found out something occurred. He had marijuana on him or her, and she's sitting across from you at the table. How do you pitch it?
We simply say, here's your choice. You can be charged with a crime right now and face an expulsion from Sarasota High School, or you can stay at Sarasota High School, be put into a program, usually with the drug issue, which are with First Step. We have a very, very good partnership with First Step. We have Brian Riles with First Step, who's right on our campus, and we don't need to sell it. We're straight up. We tell them their options. It's either have the charge deferred and a school consequence deferred, or you're going to be charged with the crime and you'll be facing expulsion and then offered a settlement agreement to an alternative school. That's typically the choices that they have. Jarrett,
do you have a presentation that you make at that point?
Yeah, we show them their face sheet, which has all the lists of all the charges that a child's ever had, their family members, and right off the bat, it's a 3-page sheet. So we'll show them this is what your face sheet will look like if you're taken into custody, if this charge goes through the court. Then we show them a civil citation face sheet, which is a little shorter, and then we show them the blank piece of paper that says, this is what it looks like now, and this is what it'll look like if you go through with this program. So that really helps sell them, especially for the kids who are looking to do something like in the medical field or security or something like that. To have a clean record, something that is really beneficial for them.
So really the selling point for them is that it keeps their footprints out of the DJJ system. Correct.
Yeah. And it also, like Mark said, it still holds them accountable while giving them competency development too. Like First Step is I think that's one of the reasons it's so successful there.
And so how does Brian Riles get himself involved with this?
He's invited to the meeting. Like I said, he's on our campus, which is in my opinion, that's a huge piece, because when you're at a meeting and you're providing services for families, most of the times the hang up or the roadblocks that families face with services is being able to coordinate, get in touch with the people, set up a meeting. It's new to them. They don't know how to proceed. We're able to, with having Brian Riles on our campus, he's at the meeting. As soon as our meeting concludes and a student and family decide they're going to go through this program, they immediately start their service right away. They do their intake meeting right there. Sometimes they're drug tested there. They set up a schedule. They have a ton of questions that are answered directly by the expert in the field. If he wasn't there, it would be, here's a phone number, make a phone call, and then you may be talking weeks by the time they get hooked up. Services start immediate, and that has a huge impact, I believe, with this program, is when you're going to provide services as a school with these families, you have got to provide the family with the service. And what I mean by that is having them present at a meeting so they can answer questions. They're experts. We kind of lean on them as experts in their field. We want them in the same room so they can answer the questions and get the services started immediately. We have the same relationship with teen court, and coastal behavior is a big part of us too, that we do meet with those folks as well. But first step and teen court are the two biggest services we use with this program.
You mentioned before that there's a contract the student has to sign. Jared, are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Well, what are some of the things that you can require as part of the behavioral contract?
You can do, besides the school aspect where they really can't get in trouble at school anymore for about a year, there's also that we can put a curfew in there if the parents think that's a good idea.
You mean you can tell the kid to be in at 8 o'clock at night every night?
Yeah, we can tell them that. I mean, it's up to the kid. It's their kind of show. It's up to them if they follow it, but it's in the contract. If you want to be part of this program, this is what it's going to be. If there's a particular peer or friend that the parent doesn't want their child associating with, we can put that in the contract.
You know, I can't tell you how many times as a juvenile judge I've had a parent tell me that he just has a bad influence. This kid's a bad influence. We keep him away from this kid, he'll be fine. Take it with a grain of salt sometimes, but you can actually put that in the contract.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And if again, it's kind of the kids are the ones driving it, even though, we're telling them to do this, but if they want to participate in it, there's the easy road with this, and then if they want to continue hanging out with the friends they're not supposed to, or going out past their curfew, that's when they'd go before the juvenile judge, and the consequences are more severe than if they don't.
I'm going to talk about those consequences if they reject the program in a minute, but also, how about teen court? Can teen court get involved here?
Yeah, they can go to teen court, correct, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, they can go to teen court as part of this program, so that can be in the contract. Drug screens are in the contract, but each child is different, so whatever this child needs is what's going to be in the contract.
Can you use the nuclear option, which is suspending their use of their cell phones?
We have in the past. And parents, a lot of times when we're at this meeting, we do say that. What are some of the issues that you're seeing, whether it be at home or, we're choosing not to change the environment by allowing them to stay on our campus. They're lucky that they're able to get this opportunity, and it is presented as an opportunity. So we feel as a school is if you're going to stay on our campus, we're going to put things in place to try to help you. You may not like that with cell phone, with friends, curfews and things like that. But if we're going to keep you on our campus, if we're going to take the ownership of you and provide services, we need to make sure you are successful. So if that means taking certain things away that are distracting you or leading you down the path to where you're making poor decisions, then we're certainly going to do that as a school.
Jerry, you've had caseloads where you've had to watch children and supervise children on probation.
Yeah.
I think it'd be helpful for the audience to know what sanctions are imposed when a youth or a student who is put on juvenile probation and then they violate. What are the consequences of that behavior from the judge's standpoint?
From the judge's standpoint, if a child just skips a week of school, and we could file one contempt of court. So, or we could file, depending on how many days they miss, we could file up to 5 contempts of court. So if it was an entire school week. The judge has anything from, has the option of doing anything from a warning, don't do it again, to 5 days in secure detention for the first time they mess up, to 15 days every time after that. So it's anything between a warning and time in detention. So
I think one of the hardest things to impress on the youth that are on probation is the serious nature of the violation. They're not used to having somebody put handcuffs on them, take them to a kid's jail because they didn't go to school, or because they didn't make a curfew, or because they smoked a joint when they weren't supposed to. The consequences are very heavy. And do you help explain that to the people in this program so that they don't have to face those consequences?
yeah, in detention, you eat when they tell you to eat. You shower and go to the bathroom when they tell you to go to the bathroom. So it's very structured, very regiment, but the consequences are more severe. The more consequences you have, if you mess up enough too, and we have to do a violation of probation, then the judge can ultimately place you in a commitment program. So
that means go away someplace.
Go away. And the detention centers for either the kids that are in there for contempt of court or waiting for their court case. The commitment programs are where they go away for months to be taken out of the community because they can't function in there anymore.
The point of this program is to prevent that result from happening, to get the kids at an early stage of the misbehavior, redirect them. Juvenile court, unlike adult court, is fundamentally a rehabilitation approach. In the adult court, it's punishment. That's what the punishment code, the sentencing code in the state statute says. We're there to punish you if you're an adult. With children, it's different, and you're part of that process. And the judge, when he or she sees one of these programs coming along, you've worked with that child, the judge is a little bit more amenable to working with that child to see if there's some way to keep them out of that system. So, okay, so a child comes in and you've given this. They sign this. Are the parents involved?
Absolutely. They have to sign. We expect them to sign. We also expect them to be part of the support team. A lot of times they'll have to, there's some outpatient stuff. They'll have some meetings at night. We ask them and expect them to be part of transportation. If the student's going to be absent, we expect them to communicate with us through the school with excusal notes. If they're not doing things at home, and it may be a tough call to make to us, but our expectation is that they let us know what's going on. It's a team approach with these students that we believe in, and they're part of the team. So yes, we do have them included in the contract. They sign it, and that's why we ask them, what can we do to help them at home? Like we talked about curfews and things like that. So yeah, they're a big part of it.
Well, if you have a child and then they violate, do you drop the hammer the first time, or do you still try to work with them?
It depends what it is. I mean, we're very, we have compassion, in our school, certainly from our staff, and we want to work with them. But at the same time, if a student, a lot of the contract is we tell them act like any other Sarasota high school student would be to class on time, don't do things that would get in trouble, be subordinate, do those things. Don't get into any unnecessary trouble, and out in the community as well. I mean, if something happens out in the community, police involvement, we usually are aware of it. That could violate them. So it's case by case. I'm happy to report that in 100% of our drug alcohol cases, we've had 0 violators.
How many cases have you had since the program's been in?
Close to 37 at this point, and we started it in spring of 2016. We're seeing some very good success. Our drug alcohol, we're at 0%. We're at 0 violation. We do have a couple of students that are under battery and then some theft. We've had, I think, total of 3 students who have violated the contract for various reasons. But 0 for drug alcohol, and again, I go back to having First Step on campus. I think parents are looking for help, and we're able to provide it.
That's great. And so, Jarrett, I have to say that your chief of operations for the DJJ, Jenny Donovan, has offered your services, even though technically you don't get involved till the petition's filed usually. So
Correct, yeah. So we can help out where we need if, like if a kid does violate and the part of this, and then just might need some more adults, like someone like a JPO, go in them and tell them of all the consequences that they do face if they do fail out of this program. We're more than welcome to help. And then yeah, so anything the school needs to keep the kid on the straight and narrow will do.
Okay, Mark, any final comments you'd like to share with us?
We're happy to partner with you know, any services that are outside of the school that we can bring in the school to help students. We're all for it at Sarasota High School.
Jarrett?
That is just a really great program. It keeps the kids' records clean, and it also keeps them in school. It's working out really well.
Teachers like it?
I think so. I think they do like it. It's a different approach, but yeah, we're seeing results. So yeah, they like results.
Good. Well, folks, that's all we have time for today. We hope our viewers will have some insight into the efforts being made by the school district, the court, Sarasota High School, Department of Juvenile Justice, and the other stakeholders to keep students' criminal history pristine so their foolish, impulsive, reckless conduct does not follow them into adulthood and potentially ruin their futures. I'd like to thank Mark and Jarrett for participating here today. Thank you for being here and sharing your experiences. This is Senior Judge Lee Hayworth signing off.
For more than 36 years, the Community Foundation of Sarasota County has worked one-on-one with estate planning attorneys and their clients to make a lasting impact through philanthropy. Stable, trusted, and knowledgeable, the Community Foundation safeguards the charitable legacies of donors to ensure that they continue for years to come. Visit www.cfsarasota.org or call 955-3000 for more information.